Almost everybody owns a pair of sneakers. So what separates your shoes from everybody else's? Today I'm going to be showing you an example of how to customize shoes. There's 3 different processes, and by the end of this video I'm going to be explaining all 3 processes, and I'm going to show you an example of one of them. Customizing shoes is very easy to do. All you need is a few materials that you can find just about anywhere. There's an old pair of sneakers. You would need some household items like spray paint or acrylic paint, acetone, and a few other things if you want to get creative. But the rest is up to you. So, without further ado, let's start explaining one of the ways. First and most common is airbrushing. Now, airbrushing is very, very easy if you know how to, basically, if you're artistic. The only thing about airbrushing is that the cost of the materials can be pricey. So some of the materials you would need, an airbrushing kit. If you don't want to buy the kit, you can buy the airbrush gun alone, buy your own paint. You would need some acetone, an old pair of sneakers. You would need some cotton balls, and like I said, the paint, and some finisher if you want to have like a shiny, glossy look. I've also seen people use glitter. I've seen people use all type of different things. So it's up to your creativity on how you want to do it. What you'll basically do is you'll take the old pair of sneakers. You're first going to wipe them off with acetone. You're going to use the cotton balls, dip them in the acetone. That's the easiest way to do it. And then after that, you're going to take off the parts that you don't want airbrushed. So I use regular duct tape and or painter's tape, depending on what you want to do. Load the airbrush gun with the paint that you want. I've seen people use stencils if they want a specific design, like say you want Looney Tunes characters. So you're going to use the stencils, airbrush the design, and then you let it sit. It takes about 4 to 5 hours, depending on how long that you design. The second way would be hydro dipping. This is the most fun to me. It's also one of the easiest. So for this, the materials are a little bit different. You're going to need a bucket of water. You're going to need some spray paint. You need an old pair of shoes or a new pair of shoes if you want. You're going to need the acetone again, and you're going to need cotton balls. Same process as the first one. You're going to take the acetone. I'm sorry, you also need paint or painter's tape or duct tape as well. So you're going to take the cotton balls. You're going to dip them in the acetone, wipe off the parts that you don't want, tape off the rest, and then you're going to spray paint the bucket filled with water. It has to be filled at least 3/4 of the way, enough to dip the shoe in and completely cover it. So once you get enough of the spray paint in, and I've also seen people use different colors, so they might mix 2 to 3 different colors depending on what they want. Usually it makes like a swirl pattern, and what you'll do is you'll spray paint one color for about, I'd say, count to 10 seconds. Take the other color, spray that as well, and then you'll keep switching off and on until you see a spiral of colors. For example, red, blue, and green pattern, or red and blue, red and blue. After that, you're going to dip the shoe in, make sure it's completely covered. Try to get as much of the swirl paint onto the shoe, the parts that you want, and then you're going to do the same with the other shoe. Let it dry. And that takes about 8 to 10 hours, depending on, like I said, your design, the type of shoe. A lot of softer, non-leather materials take a lot longer to dry. So the last process is painting, obviously, and that's almost self-explanatory. You're going to need some of the similar items. You're going to need the regular acrylic paint. Leather acrylic paint. Any type of colors that you want, it's fine. The colors doesn't necessarily make a difference. You're going to need cotton balls, acetone, old pair of sneakers, some paint brushes, and any type of finisher that's good for shoes. So again, with the first process and the second process, you're going to dip the cotton balls in the acetone. Wipe off the part of the shoe that you want, tape off the rest. You're going to, if you want to use a stencil, that's fine. People usually just get crazy and just do their own thing with the paint. There's no specific type of pattern you need to use. There's no specific way to do it, as long as the parts that you want are covered. I typically use a larger paintbrush for the wider areas, then finish it off. I let that dry for about an hour or two. Then I go over it with a second coat, and then the parts that are still not painted that you want painted, I'll take a smaller brush for more detail. And also, if you wanted to do like lettering or anything like that, that's the perfect brush for it. So that's pretty much the explanatory part. Next is going to be the demonstration. So I'm going to be doing hydro dipping. First, I have my shoes, my old pair of shoes. They're taped up. Nothing special, just the areas that are covered. I have my acetone. I'm going to be using, instead of cotton balls, I am going to be using paper towels, which same effect, no different. And all I'm going to be doing is dipping them in here and wiping off the part of the shoe that I want to paint. You'll see it. As long as it's shiny, you know that the acetone is on there. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be covered. You'll start to see some of the color of the shoe come off. That means it's actually applied. Same with the other shoe. Just dipping in the acetone, wiping it off. Next, I have my spray paint. I'm using rose gold. This has a metallic finish. Most spray paints are usually a 2-in-1, so you should be good. You don't need a filter if they're a 2-in-1. And then you just need a bucket of water. And I'm not going to be doing that on the counter. I'm going to be spray painting the water. And honestly, it's best to do this outdoors because you don't want the spray paint to get inside or make any type of smell. So I'm just spraying as much spray paint as I want into it. And then I'm going to get my first shoe. Completely covering the whole shoe. It's fine that it gets wet. It's not going to make a difference. It'll be just fine. And then I'm just going to swirl the paint so it gets completely on there. And just as a suggestion, you might want to wear gloves because your hands will get paint on them. For this one, I want a little more of the color. So I'm going to spray some more. And just finish dipping it. Alright, and we are just about done with this shoe. So yes, your shoe is going to be soaked. Like I said, that's why it's better to use an old pair. But your shoe will look somewhat like that when it's done. Everything should be completely covered that you want covered. And then you're just going to leave it to dry for about 8 to 12 hours. I'm not going to do the other shoe only because it's going to take a little bit more time. But that's just about it. Like I said, that's all there is to it for the hydro dipping. That's the easiest process. That's why I decided to do that one. And I'm interested to see what kind of creations you guys come up with. So just let me know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to ask. Thank you.